Hey, what's going on? Welcome to the Doug Show. It's Doug Cunnington here, and today we're going to answer a question from one of the students in Five Figure Niche Site. So thanks for sending in this question. The person asked me not to mention his name at all, his or her name, we'll put it that way. So I'll respect that. I appreciate it. It's a good question, and it's around personas for niche sites or affiliate sites or any kind of content that you may have out there. And this person asks about how far to take it. So I'm not going to read the whole entire thing, but the idea is around, keeping your actual real name anonymous. And it totally makes sense to me. When I first got started with my very first site, I had a corporate job and I wanted to work on these projects on the side, and I wasn't sure. It was a very corporate setting, and I didn't want any of my supervisors or anyone in HR or anyone in charge of me getting promoted or not getting promoted to see my name out there associated with a website that maybe they think I'm not focused on work enough or something like that. So for me personally, when I started, I absolutely from the start used a pen name, a pseudonym for the site. And the student of Five Figure Niche Site asked, what about a fake picture, right? So they were like, yeah, using a pen name, I get that. What about a fake picture? Should I do that? How about a whole backstory and that sort of thing? Tell the story of something completely fabricated. And how far do you take it? So that's what we're going to talk about today. Now, these are just my opinions. And I know we have some lawyers in the audience. So if any lawyers hear something that they disagree with, or that I am completely wrong about, they disagree because I'm wrong, shoot me an email, feedback@doug.show, to let me know. But I think you'll probably find in most cases, I'm pretty conservative, and I think you should be okay with this. So I generally advise that it's good to have a name, a picture. It doesn't have to show a face necessarily, but some picture, hopefully related to the niche or the category or the general topics. That's always nice. It adds some authenticity. I also like to have a little bit of a backstory as far as why you started the site. And why the site is there. So you can blend that in. You can make it pretty vague and non-specific, or you could be more specific. I find, just something vague, some story that's generally unprovable is a good way to go. The area where I advise you to take it very, very easy is around making professional claims, educational claims, or certifications. All right. So we'll get specific about this now. Basically, let's say, actually, I'm not going to be too specific, but let's say it's health related. All right. So let's say you have a health related or somewhat health related site, even fitness for that matter. I would not say that you're a doctor or that you're a physical therapist or anything where the credibility that you're trying to build is based on lies. And then you're using those lies to build your credibility to sell products. You're saying you're an expert in a certain area, and you're saying you have, education, maybe you have certifications or something like that. That is not okay. All right. So when you play it out, if someone bought the product based on your recommendation and then they were injured using the product, they potentially could sue. I'm just making stuff up based on no research and only what I've seen on TV here. They could potentially sue the manufacturer. They could sue other people associated with I guess like the development of the product or maybe the testing, and potentially you, because you were making claims as a, fake doctor or fake physical therapist or so on. And at that point, it matters that you are claiming some expertise in a certain area. So that is the thing that I would mainly avoid, right? So I wouldn't make claims that are untrue that help you sell things. You can keep it vague, right? You don't have to say you're a doctor. You could say, I wouldn't necessarily do this either, but you could say, a doctor, or you talked to a doctor once, in a vague, non-specific way, right? I don't know how that helps you very much. You're probably better off saying you're a hobbyist and you're really interested in the topic or something like that. But that's kind of my, general guideline. So having a name is good. Having some backstory related to the topic and category and niche is good. Having an image would be good. You potentially can, use an image of yourself. If you want to be more anonymous, you can have an image of yourself without showing your face, potentially doing like some activity related to the niche, category, and topic. Again, just to add a little credibility without making any like outrageous claim that isn't true. And further, I think you could sort of translate that idea. I gave an extreme example around health and fitness and then claiming that you're a doctor. But I believe it probably could translate to other areas. So if you have a review site on laptops, for example, you probably don't want to make claims. Again, this is probably less risky, but I wouldn't make claims that you're, a software developer and that you build computers and that sort of thing. Or there's plenty of certifications out there. I wouldn't make claims that you're certified in an area that you're not when it's related to, selling the products. So that is my take. It would be very interesting to hear what other people think. So feel free, shoot me an email at feedback@doug.show. I would like to hear how other people approach it. And maybe in a future episode, I can share what we got back, what people sent in. All right. As a related sort of topic, what if you don't want to have a persona at all? What if you just want to have sort of like a company and, no face, no personality. You just want to have a company. Hey, we are the ballpoint pen review guys. We love writing and we put out reviews about pens because we like writing so much. If you just want to have it that vague, I think that could work. In fact, I've seen quite a few sites that are super vague and they just don't seem like there's anyone behind them. And I think those can work fine too. I have definitely seen some out there. And as I review the sites and as I take a look at maybe the potential traffic that they're getting on a tool like SEMrush, I would observe that they get a lot of traffic. And the reality is most traffic to a site like, the ones that we talk about here, they just, a visitor just Googles a term and the visitor lands on the site. They look at one page most of the time, and then they head over to Amazon, hopefully, or they bounce back to the SERPs and go to another page. The point is most people are not looking at your about page. So it's not a huge major deal in general. However, here's where it comes into play, in my opinion. Let's say I've launched my site. I got some content out there. I put some keyword golden ratio content. I'm getting some traction. Things are going like nicely. I'm getting a few sales here and there. And I'm thinking, hey, I want to take this to the next level. I want to get some guest posts out there. I want to do some promotion and outreach. The people that maybe would look at your about page are folks that you're pitching to guest post on their site or to link to your site somehow. So when I go to a site and someone's pitched me, I'll take a quick look at it. I'll hop over to the about page to learn about the person or see if they're legit, see if they have, something to offer. And if the about page looks kind of crappy, if it looks like there's nothing, authentic behind it, I probably don't want to work with that person, because I don't want to work with a person who is just putting up a site. Maybe they don't care about it, the topic at all. Maybe they're just outsourcing all of the content. By the way, it's not bad to do those things, but the point is, if I am a blogger out there and someone's pitched me a guest post, I don't want to have someone who is just reaching out to me to get a link and they don't have any chops potentially on the topic. So not having an authentic looking about page can cost you in that area. Now, I've never done a test on it, right? I could be 100% wrong. I'm only telling you what I think and how I react. But I think if you think about it, right now, if you're like empathizing with a blogger who just received an email and a pitch for a guest post or putting a link on their site or whatever, I mean, you could imagine a person doesn't want to link to a site that, isn't that great, or maybe that isn't authentic. Nobody wants to do that. So I think that's kind of my driver, I think guest posting is good. I think doing outreach is good. If someone lands on my site, and they're, looking at the about page, I want them to think, wow, this person seems like they know what they're talking about. They have an interesting story, and I want to learn more. So that's sort of my take. The fact is, most people are not going to go to your about page, but the people that do go to the about page probably matter a little bit more. They're a little bit more important than a random visitor who's only going to be on your site one time ever in their whole life. Hopefully they land on it, get information, and buy something from Amazon, but chances are they're not going to be coming back to your site. But the people that are checking out your about page, they matter, right? They are a little more important, especially if you're spending time to do outreach and all that kind of stuff. So that's my take on persona and, sort of integrating that with the about page, why maybe you want to have an authentic persona, yet keep your true identity a secret. I think there are valid reasons for that, especially for folks doing it on the side, having a corporate job, and balancing this could be a balancing act, right? I think even now it's maybe a little bit more common to have people doing side projects, maybe having a podcast, YouTube channel, a blog, or whatever. I think content maybe is a little bit bigger. Social media is a little bit bigger than it was, just a couple of years ago, especially if you go back like 8 years, 10 years ago. Things are so much different now than they were. I think it would be super uncommon for people to have just a random podcast on a specific topic that they're into. 10, 15 years ago. Let's see, 15 years ago. At that point you're getting before podcasts, but 10 years ago. And right now it's I think, people can just start a podcast on any topic they want. There's so many out there, they potentially would be under the radar anyway. But I think I'm rambling on a little bit right now. I will digress quickly here. Just tell a little story. I'm going on a trip pretty soon. I'm going to be generally out of the office, but it's going to be a fairly long trip. And then we'll just call it 3 to 4 weeks. And as I was thinking about such a trip, I was also thinking, hey, it would be a good idea to have a couple of days off at the beginning and the end of the trip, just to ease into it, ease into the trip, and then to sort of gradually integrate myself back into work. So I was thinking, hey, I'm going to take 5, 6, 7 weeks off, something like that. I haven't done that in a long, long time. And I wanted to be able to do a little bit of work if I needed to. Let's say one of my websites goes down and I need to do something. Additionally, I'll be doing some, general email work while I'm gone. I'm not going to be working every day, but I'll probably be checking my email fairly frequently. So the point is, I got a laptop. I got a small laptop. It's actually one of those Chromebooks. So like many folks, I'd heard of Chromebooks for a few years. If you're unfamiliar, they're generally like fairly low powered, low spec laptops, and they run the Chrome OS, which is a pretty like lean OS to run. We're getting kind of geeky here, but I like that sort of thing. So it's a lean OS. I think it's based on the Android like phone OS. So like I said, it's pretty lean. It could run on slower software, doesn't need as much memory, and it's generally browser based. So it's generally like Chrome browser based. They are quite inexpensive. All right. So I think you can get them on eBay, which I started looking at after I bought like a brand new one, but you can get them on eBay used for under $100, and generally you'll be able to do like just no heavy lifting, but you could like, send emails, do anything you need to on websites, which is my main concern. And then it's fairly difficult to do any sort of like heavy lifting, like video editing or podcast editing. Anything's possible, but generally you're not going to be doing that kind of stuff. So my observation was, hey, maybe I can get one of those Chromebooks. It'll be light. They're quite secure because it's all based on like Google logins and stuff like that. And it's a beater, right? So I can get it fairly cheap. I could throw it in my backpack. I'll be on the road for a lot of this trip, and I won't have to baby it so much. Like if I brought my bigger, heavier MacBook Pro, number one, it's a more expensive thing to lose or beat up on, and I'm probably not going to need all the computing power that a MacBook Pro has, that my MacBook has. So I could just get a cheaper one. Anyway, so I got one of these and I was like, hey, this is going to be cool. I'm going to enjoy this. It's kind of fun having a smaller machine. I could take this to coffee shops and, maybe get out of the house a little bit more and just, great battery life, all the pros. Anyway, so I'm typing on it and I'm noticing that every now and then it's like weird behavior. So it turned out every time I hit the 2 key, the browser would go back one page. So the 2 key is also where the @ sign is located. So whenever I would type in my email address, say in a form on a web page, it would go back. So what I discovered, it took me about 2 days to figure this out. So what I discovered was the 2 key is right next to the back function key in the function row above the numbers, right? So I hope I'm explaining that well. But basically, every time I hit the 2 key, a 2 would appear like it was supposed to, or the @ sign, but it would also trigger the back action within the browser. So it would completely trash anything that I was trying to work on. Now, you don't hit the 2 super often. You don't hit the @ sign very often unless you're entering your email account or your email address. And again, typically it was when I was filling out a form. So I would spend some time, I'm like filling out these forms and I'm thinking, hey, this is great. I like this little machine. And then I would hit the @ sign, lose all the work that I was working on. So that was a little frustrating. I got a new one because I thought to myself, well, I want to have a warranty. I don't want to get a used one and run into issues. So I had to send it in to the manufacturer for repairs. So I think it's been about a week or so. I hope to get it back in another week. I'm not really sure. They paid for ground shipping. So I think it may be a little bit longer, but I'm hopeful. I was really excited. I was like, hey, maybe I can just move over to a Chromebook. Like I appreciate the Chrome OS and the leanness of it and all that stuff. But at this point, the jury's still out. I think it'll be great on the trip. It is a very light machine, small screen. It's not super comfortable to type on, but it'll do what I need it to do. And like I said, it's going to be like a total like beater laptop. I don't have to baby it. It's not something that's super expensive or anything like that. So that's my random tangent story for this week. Thanks for joining me this time and really appreciate it. I honestly don't know what episode is coming up next. That's all right. Thanks for joining me today. Have a great day, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thank you so much for listening to The Doug Show. I really do appreciate it. I mean, I'm just sitting here at my computer recording stuff, and you're listening to it, and I think that's awesome. If you enjoy the show and you know someone who maybe would be interested in it, please let them know. I think it would be fantastic if you help spread the word. If you are not signed up for the Niche Site Project email list, well, you're in luck. All you have to do is go to nichesiteproject.com, click the green button, enter your name and email address, and I'll send you a bunch of cool stuff about affiliate marketing, productivity, including all my templates. If you happen to not be subscribed to this podcast, please do subscribe, and don't forget, I welcome your questions. So you could send your emails to feedback@doug.show. I got that really cool domain, doug.show, that's it. So feedback@doug.show, or I'm going to leave my voicemail number in the show notes. So all you have to do is give me a buzz, leave a voicemail, and then I'll potentially put you on the air. So looking forward to it, and we'll catch you next time.